Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to hit play on this thing into the stream, Todd. I'll hit record and we're going to get this rocking. Um, Give me a second here.
Sounds good. Hoyles, Ken, good morning. Good morning, Amy.
Morning. Morning.
Howdy, howdy.
Live from Vegas.
Yeah, baby. I love it. I'm working on these other mutes, David.
Yeah, we are in the Facebook group. I just have to figure out how to
Streaming on Facebook.
we are streaming on your page, by the way.
On my page.
I'm just kidding. Okay, let me just hit record.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're recording, so let's get going here, guys. All right, excellent. So welcome to our Saturday virtual training for the month of February. My name is David Scoltetti. We've got a pretty unique training for you guys today. As many of you, if you're brand new, we do this virtual training the first Saturday of every month, and our goal is several fold. Number one, we want to help you set your goals for the month. But number two, we want to give you the tool set and the understanding as to what you need to do to win in network marketing. And so there is there's an event going on in Las Vegas at the corporate office today. So we figured, Todd and I earlier in the week, were like, you know what? Let's just do this alone. Let's have some fun with this. And I just want to give you a little bit of context, a little bit of backstory behind Todd and I. Todd and I are kind of kindred spirits, I think, in some degree. We're the same age, we're into the same music, we've got the same interests. But it was 24 years ago, of which I was running an ad in Entrepreneur Magazine, and I got a phone call from Todd.
So can you only visit that website for NBC?
And at the time, Todd was actually marketing leads, if I remember correctly. And I was building an organization within a company, and we just hit it off right out of the gate. Fast forward 2 decades later, after all this fun we've had, whether it was just meeting up for music or him coming to some of my leadership events and training people, we became really good friends. And here we are, like, working together in My Daily Choice, which is pretty sweet. So for those of you who do not know Todd and you're brand new, he has been in this industry for 35 years now. As a matter of fact, combined, we've been actively building organizations for 65 years between the two of us. So it kind of dates us a little bit. But the good news is we consume really awesome products that keep us young and vivacious and stuff like that. So Todd, good morning. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing amazing. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, actually. I'm doing great. It's sunny here in Charleston, South Carolina. And I always look forward to this particular event because we kind of, get to kind of share our wisdom for whatever it's worth with people and really help them as entrepreneurs to really advance. And today is going to be no different, although the difference in today is we are going to go unplugged. I guess the best analogy that I can use is, Todd is on the acoustic and I'm on the stand-up bass, right? But we're going to go back and forth and we're going to hit several core topics. Both of us, incidentally, have written several books on the topic of network marketing. Mine in particular, one of mine, the first book I wrote, there were 4 sections to that book. The first section was the mindset, right? We all talk about that a lot, but how to get your mind dialed as an entrepreneur, to be productive, so on and so forth. The second section was action, right? And we all know that if you don't have the right mindset, you can't really get into action as effectively as you may want to. The third section was about team building, which is like, if you do the right action, you're going to put yourself in a position to be able to build a team within network marketing. And then the last section was on leadership, of which we'll touch base on all of those. But when I say unplug, guys, this is literally like we have not scripted this. We are just going to go back and forth, have a good time. So I would urge you to take some notes and just grab something from it that you can apply to your business here in the month of February. So Todd, let's kick things off with mindset, because I think that's a really important piece. I don't want to get overly philosophical with everybody, but the truth of the matter is that thing between our ears really dictates how we succeed in anything in life, whether it's just living life, working out, leading a family or even, obviously building a business. So, what's your take?
I'm gonna hit it with a little bit different take than I normally do on the subject of mindset. I want to go back, like, just specifically on the history of this company. So some of you guys know this, some of you guys may not, but like when MDC started, they launched with 3 nutritional sprays. Okay, and the sprays what was in the sprays was good, but how the delivery mechanism was not superb. I mean, they're way different than when they originally launched. So the company started with 3 nutritional sprays, and then kind of cruising along, getting their feet wet, and then along comes HempWorks, and boom, explodes the company. Right, the company blows up to oblivion, huge success. And what's interesting is Candace Bird Davis comes along after the HempWorks run, okay? After the major vertical run of the company, and looks at the sprays and goes, oh my gosh, these things are awesome, falls in love with 3 particular sprays, and has this mindset, this attitude, this outlook that I'm going to go build a business around these 3 products. What's interesting, she built her business to 500K with 3 nutritional sprays, not HempWorks. I share that because the most important thing that we've got to have here is what's the phrase I heard umpteen years ago? Your attitude will determine your altitude. So what your outlook on what you're doing is so critically important. And we could literally, and we're not going to this morning, but we could literally do a 2 or 3 hour training just on the subject of mindset. But I want you guys to be kind of reflective this morning and go, okay, look in the mirror. How's my mindset? How's my attitude related to just generally building this business? Are you waiting for the perfect thing to come along? Are you waiting for the next product to be launched? Are you, holding back for any particular reason? We've got an amazing offering from a product standpoint, which, because of the products solving problems, that's the only reason we have a business venture, right? If we had products that didn't do anything for anybody, there's no business. So I think one of the first things, and David and I kind of discussed, is that, before we walked in, I guess it was a text thread back and forth for a couple things, but one of the first things you've got to do, and I realize that you're here, it's beautiful. I realize that probably if you're here on a Super Saturday, that you're involved in the company, that you have a distributor ID number or an affiliate ID number. But I want you to ask this question: have I decided? Have I made a decision? In fact, I want you to write that down. Have I decided? Because here's what I found. And again, David, aged us greatly. Thanks so much, David. 35 years here and 30 plus years for him in the space. A lot of people come here and they'll say, yeah, I've decided. Yeah, I'm here, man. But the truth is, you ain't doing nothing. I'm not saying you, okay? But there's so many people that come into the space, and it's like they want to make money, but it's like they never have really made that firm draw a line in the sand decision. And I'll tell you something that's beautiful about doing so. The moment you go, look, I'm in, and I'm in it to win it. I'm in it for the long haul, not lip service, because there's a lot of people that give lip service. I'm here, man. I'm committed, and they're gone 2 months later. Okay, I've seen it a bazillion times. So has David. When you make that firm commitment, drawing a line in the sand, that the only thing here for you is I'm going to do this thing until I win, then all of the resources that are out there in the universe have to avail themselves to you to aid you in winning, because quitting is no longer an option. Going to another place is no longer an option. Just giving up on your dreams is no longer an option. But I don't want you to glaze over this, because it's very easy to glaze over a conversation on mindset and the concept of making a decision, because it's not some secret sauce. It's not this tricky, really cool script or something that's going to be the game changer for you. So many times people are looking for the magic pill. They're like, give me the one thing that's going to change your business. What you're going to find this morning is that the business is really based on the fundamentals, okay? Blocking and tackling, if we're going to use football terminology. And if you don't play football, I mean, those are basic fundamentals in that particular sport. So I would just kind of ask yourself a couple things this morning. It's okay, well, how's my attitude, my mindset, and my outlook currently, and what do I have to do to change to be in this? Honestly, this Candace Bird Davis, I was going to bed last night and I was thinking about that, because the sprays were doing okay at the time. They weren't doing major business, the company launched on the initial sprays. We do way more sales in sprays now, but when the company first launched, it was cruising along, nothing truly exceptional. And then again, the explosion of HempWorks. But then along comes this girl who's like, you know what? I'm gonna attach myself to that particular product line. And she had this attitude and this outlook and this mindset that she's going to build a business around 3 sprays out of the 11. Actually, there wasn't even 11 back when she started, and she's crushed it. So your attitude is the greatest difference maker. And then because your attitude is there, all the other things kind of tend to come in alignment. If I got a great attitude, if I got a great mindset, if I got a great outlook, well, I'm going to get to work. I'm going to show up and, step into my office at 7:30 in the morning and start getting busy. And I'm going to get busy doing the right kinds of activities. But again, look, we have limited time this morning. David and I could literally train on the subject of mindset for probably 3 hours. Maybe one of these days we should, man, because we can go do a super deep dive, because there's a lot of stuff I want to say, but I want to make sure that we're, reserving space for all the different things we want to cover this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing I'll add to that, Todd, and I guess it's under the mindset piece, but we've both seen over the years how people look at network marketing as a side hustle. And if you look at it, and that very well may be your interest, quite frankly, to earn an extra $300, $400, $500 per month. But if you want a comma in your check, if you legitimately want a comma in a monthly check, you have to treat it like a business. And what I mean by that is you can't treat it like, oh, it's just this thing, and I'm doing it like quasi part-time, and if I get something out of it, great. Both Todd and I have built organizations that have done millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions over a career of revenue. And the only reason there's several reasons why it happened, but it did start with a big business mindset, right? Which kind of like parlays into the fact that if you look at the landscape today, yes, there are people who are interested in the products that we offer, but what I think a lot of people need is the education as to how they can take advantage of the tax code. Look, it's not that easy. You see a lot of people in the news on social media talking about inflation and all these dynamics, but the fact of the matter is, you're given the ability to write things off when you're self-employed, when you're in the pursuit of profit. So I'm not going to be your CPA today, but you can easily Google that. You can easily talk to ChatGPT and it'll lay it all out for you. But having that business mindset will certainly help you, in the process. So Todd, as we go into the goals setting thing here, again, this is something else we could probably, elaborate and pontificate on quite a bit. But in this business, each and every month is a new month. It's kind of a clean slate, right? And ultimately, our goal is to build like a brick house, one brick on top of the other, and over time, build an asset for ourselves. But what are the particular goals that you suggest, affiliates kind of grasp onto and set each and every month?
Well, for sure, I think a person that is new, that has no organization, that's just getting started, I think probably the best activity goal, the best goal that you could set is an activity goal. Because at this point, like if you're new or you don't really have an organization, you don't really know kind of how your business is trending or tracking. It's one thing if you're like a 10K or 25K and you kind of see progress and how volume is kind of cruising along month to month. But when you're new, or let's just say you're under a 5K, I think if you're under a 5K, I'd say your main goals, I'm not saying don't set goals like I want to hit 1K or I want to hit 5K or those things. You do, but you have way more control over activity goals, or for example, like daily number of intentional business building reach outs is an important one. Like bottom line, here's the deal. Like if David and I were just to be totally blunt with you guys this morning, okay, what does it take? What the heck does it take to make money in this business and make this a career? Well, we talked a little bit about mindset and decision. Number 2, it's like, okay, I got to go do something, man. I got to go talk to people. I got to go expose people to the business concept of what we have here, as well as, the different products that we have within the company. And I got to say something about that. When you're setting these activity goals, for example, these daily activity goals, then you're going to go take those actions and those activities, and we'll get into this later. But what we're doing because of the amount of different brands, the amount of different products that we have at our disposal, that gives you a really unique opportunity to, because like, here's the thing, like companies like Amazon and these giant multi-billion-dollar conglomerates where the CEOs and the top people are getting extremely wealthy. All the people that are in those entities are, some of them are making good money for sure, but a lot of people are not making great money. We're giving, consumers are giving money to these giant corporations. Here, I kind of look at this like a grassroots entrepreneurial movement. Instead of like making Jeff Bezos richer, why don't we talk about, look, I got a business venture where we can share amongst the wealth, and instead of making the rich guys richer, look, you can, I don't really like this term, but I'll use the term. We're going to help the little guy, the little guy that could stand to make an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month, and that would be life-changing income. So I don't know, David, again, this is a subject matter we could go on for an extended period of time, but guys, here's what I would say to you. Look at your the amount of time that you have daily to commit to the business. You should know that. Like, okay, you have a job, you got a family, you got kids in soccer, whatever's going on in your life. You know the available hours that you potentially have to put into the business. I would, first of all, I would calendar it. I would put that in my calendar as a scheduled appointment. Like, okay, I'm working my MDC business from here to here. And then what are you doing during those times? Okay, I got 2 hours a day, 5 days a week that I can legitimately put into this business, which is kind of a reasonable part-time amount of hours for somebody to put in the business if they're just getting started. And then you're like, okay, how many reach outs could I feasibly do? Because that's the only thing that matters. Facebook Lives don't matter. Instagram things, tweets, none of that stuff. I mean, I'm not saying those are not helpful, but what matters is me picking up the phone or reaching out to David and say, bro, Falcone, what's going on, man? Listen, I just launched this new business. I'm super pumped about it. Hey, I've got this short little video. You need to take a look at this. When can you take a look at that today? And the more times that you can do that, and I'm not saying you do it exactly like that. I could give you, umpteen different variations of how to approach somebody, but that's the activity. If we're not so goal setting wise in the short term, I think activity goals are probably the strongest things you can do. And we can then, when you get a little growth and you kind of know what's going on in your business, then you can begin to set other goals, like rank advanced goals or other things that you might want to do. So David, back to you.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, Todd. And so, it really comes down to a daily method of operation of what you're referencing, because 80% of the people that enter the professional network marketing are doing it on a part-time basis. So you've got all kinds of other dynamics. You've got your other business, your career, your job, your kids, your family, all these things. And so what I've always done is I've never ended a day without, number one, reflecting on what I did and looking myself in the mirror and saying, if everybody on my team did what I did today, how would my business be growing? And that's a gut check that you should do every day. Secondly, is before you go to bed, understand what you're going to do when you wake up as it pertains to weaving your business into your daily method of operation, right? So the activity piece that Todd mentioned is very good, but I also want to get a little specific with you and just and again, this is unplugged, guys. We're just going to be straight up. We're not going to sugarcoat anything with you, right? If you want a comma in your check, I'm going to say this multiple times. There are several ways to do it, but there are a couple things that you want to use as measurements each and every month. Don't look at the big volume and the big ranks and whatnot. It all comes down, in my opinion, to the foundational rank of 1K. Okay. You know what that is? 1,000 points, 50% rule, 3 personally enrolled affiliates at 90 points apiece. That's what you need to achieve that. Okay. But that's the foundational rank. So if you get that, if you achieve that, you're making that $300 to $400 per month, right? But more importantly, you're in a position to talk to people and actually help them do the same. Okay. So the 1K is really important. The other thing is what we call the power of 4. In our compensation plan, and this is a funny thing about comp plans, is people tend to get really caught up in trying to understand them all, but I tend to take a really super low IQ approach. And if you understand the basics, you can make it a lot easier. And in our plan, if you enroll 4 new affiliates and or customers with a minimum of a 40-point order, you get 1 share of the global bonus pool. Okay, you should be doing this every single month. What does that mean? It means 4 a month, 48 or 50 people a year. That may sound like a lot to y'all, but I got to tell you, it's not that hard, right? And we're going to break some of that down. It's not really that hard in the process. So, which transitions me, Todd, to the concept of linear versus leverage. And this is also something that I think is really, really super important for y'all to get your head around, is that most people that come to network marketing, whether it's because of their confidence level or whether it's because of just the way they're being taught or their mindset or whatever, where they spend most of their time is on the customer acquisition front. There's nothing wrong with that. Customers are the baseline of the business, so don't misunderstand me. But if you just focus solely on getting customers, then everything's very linear. So in other words, if you had, I don't know, let's just keep a simple number, like 1,000 points a month in customer volume. I think 80% of that goes through the plan. You're making $400 a month in doing so. It's reasonable income if you do that each and every month, right? But it's the leveraged income that is the most powerful thing, right? This is a business of duplication. And when you put yourself in a position to leverage other people's time, energy, effort, resources, skill sets, relationships, know-how, like you can completely transform your business. Now, it does, going back to the mindset piece, it does take a little bit of a different structured mindset to approach people about a business. And one of the challenges that so many people have is they take the attitude that, well, I haven't really quite succeeded in this business, so how could I possibly speak to somebody about an online business opportunity? Well, I'm here to tell you, you've got to flush that thought. You have to flush that thought. Especially today, this is just the way I look at this. My Daily Choice is unique in itself because of this house of brands concept, because of this marketplace, because in some respects, because of the technology it's out there on the platform. But what we're really marketing here, what we're really selling, is an opportunity for anybody, regardless of their background, to own and operate their own online e-commerce business, where they can represent a host of different brands, both physical products and digital products, and they can just represent that which is turnkey. It's kind of a business out of the box. That's a pretty powerful thing. And when you market that, you're also putting people in a position to be able to capitalize on the tax code that I referenced before. So the linear piece is part of the equation, but it's the leverage piece that really can be life-changing if and when you have the confidence and a no-fear attitude to go out and talk to people. Does that make sense, Todd?
Yeah, and at the same time, when I started, I had zero confidence, but I'm like, okay, here's the thing. When I looked at network marketing the first time, you got a product, you can sell it to people, you can make a retail profit. That's what David's talking about on the linear side. The leverage side is, wait, you can build a team of people that each one of those individuals that are on your team all have customer volume. And I saw that the very first moment I walked into a network marketing presentation in August of 1989. And I was like, oh my gosh, do I want to just sell product, or do I want to, take part in the leverage aspect of this opportunity? And with literally zero confidence, I followed the lead, the guide of the people that knew more than me, that had more experience than me. I went on a little faith, and I immediately personally started reaching out to people about the business. My presentation from day one, when I first started in the space, was reaching out to people and say, look, we're expanding this business in this area. I'd love to talk to you. When can you come down and meet with me? That was back in the day. But it was the presentation was about putting people in front of the opportunity. And here's the thing, like I've mentioned this already, but power to the people, man. Like that's like, hey, what I do is I help people get themselves set up in an e-commerce business where we're literally bringing the power back into individuals' hands so they can take control of their financial destiny rather than give all the money to the giant corporations. That's what this deal is all about. You need to take a look at this. Here's a video. Watch this. I'll call you back in 15 minutes. And I'm not saying you do it exactly like that, but I most certainly would. That would be one way I would approach it. But again, a lot of times, not all the time, depends on the conversation, but if I'm having a chat with somebody's got a headache, or I don't sleep very good. Okay, cool. Sleep spray, CBD, whatever. I can and turn people on to product in that manner. But if I'm sitting at my desk like I am right now and I'm getting after it and I've got a list of people that I want to go talk to, I'm picking up the phone and I'm engaging them in a short conversation that's about the leverage, about putting them in front of the financial opportunity that exists here. And here's the thing you have to understand, you guys. You send somebody to a business presentation, they get exposed to the different brands and everything that we got here. If they don't want to be an affiliate, hey, the fallback is the customer. So I don't want to confuse you guys, but if I'm sitting here at my desk, my mode personally is I'm looking for business builders. Okay. If I'm out living my life and having chats and conversations with people and somebody says, hey man, I got this pain in my neck, or I got this issue going on or whatever, we got products to solve pretty much any issue or problem or challenge somebody's facing. And it's easy to segue into those conversations.
Yeah, no, I believe in that, Todd, 100%. That's a really good point. So let's talk a little bit about modeling. You know what I mean? Because I've always looked at network marketing as kind of the franchise without the franchise tag, right? Like the reason people invest in franchises, and we all know we see them on every corner, is because they're looking to be self-employed, but they want a system. They want a process. They want a proven model that they can plug into and hopefully build a successful business. And network marketing is no different. And we can talk very generically in terms of network marketing, what you want to model. But I'd like to kind of like focus a little bit on My Daily Choice specifically, right? Because this is really critical. Like, because if you go off on a tangent and you start doing things that you think work, they may not work for other people, right? It's not about being, per people dependent. It's about being, system dependent. So a couple of the things that I'll mention, Todd, I'll have you kind of just elaborate on anything you think I missed, is understanding with the shift to the brand bucks in the marketplace, it's important as affiliates that we subscribe to that, right? And so when it comes to the brand bucks, it's really a brilliant concept when you think about it. Like this week we had Ed Parker on our team mastermind. And part of the discussion was around High Life Travel and the value-based proposition within the brand bucks packages, right? So understand that when you personally purchase a brand bucks package, not only let's just take the lowest one, for example, the $200 package, not only are you getting $200 in brand bucks to get the best prices on the products that you want to try or love, but you're also getting $200 in virtual travel savings. Okay. And you'll have this each and every month. So, when you come into the business, however you came into the business, that's really going to dictate to some degree how you enroll other people. And that comes down to the money mindset piece, just to be honest with you. And I'm not discounting the fact that people are on budgets, whatever. I mean, I get all that. But again, this goes back to treating this business like a business, right? So the brand bucks piece is a really important piece. The second piece that's important is that you want to be executive qualified each and every month. Why? Because that's the highest payout on the plan when you're going out and prospecting and enrolling new customers and affiliates. So why wouldn't you want it, right? So it's important. It's super, super important to have that minimum of 90 points personal volume each and every month. I tell people, look, do it the first week of the month. Like yesterday, I went out and purchased this is what I do each and every month, my $200 brand bucks package. I get 100 points for qualification. I'm adding on and building onto my my digital travel savings, and then I'm building these brand bucks that I can go out and spend freely as I please, right? But staying executive qualified is really important. The other piece is centered around tools. Like when you're in your process of going out and building. Hold on, I got that. When you're in the process of going out and building and prospecting, which we're going to talk about in a couple moments, what tools you're using is what other people will use. For example, and this can be a classic example. If you go out, and we've got a pretty cool 12-minute video that kind of does an overview of the My Daily Choice opportunity. If you go out and pique somebody's interest and you say, hey, I was thinking about you. I'm expanding my business. I'm looking for amazing, people and with entrepreneurial mindset. And I thought of you. Are you open to evaluating what I'm doing. I mean, again, don't quote me on that language, but ultimately you want to get to a point of, are you open? And they say, well, sure. And then if you turn around and go right into this big diatribe and give a presentation yourself, here's what's going to happen. First of all, you're going to screw it up. Don't take that the wrong way, but you're gonna miss something out. Secondly, you're going to be telling people the process of how they do it. And so when people are looking at a business like this, they're looking at, what is it? Does it work? Will it work for me? And ultimately, can I do it? Right. And the world is out there. We talked about this earlier, that 80% of the people are doing this part-time. People want fast pace. The people are living a fast-paced life. If they think that they have to go out and learn the presentation to teach that to other people, they're not going to get involved with you. So using the right tools is a really important piece. And then the last thing I'll mention, Todd, is that, as it pertains to modeling, our events. Like, this is an event-driven business. And I realize that, that COVID kind of like shuffled the deck a little bit on that. It kind of forced a lot of people to go virtual, and many people haven't springed out of that, and we're doing these virtual things. But there's nothing more powerful than getting belly to belly with people and just feeling that energy, networking with the leadership and just being face to face. So just keep that in mind as you're building your business and you see an event come up. Yes, it's an event, but it's a tax deductible event. But it's something I think that is very necessary in the process. So anything else on modeling, Todd, that you think is really, really important to share with everybody?
I would just say one other thing on the subject of modeling is modeling goes both ways. Number one, obviously, if we have people on our team, what do we want them modeling from us? So people, it's like monkey see, monkey do. People do what they see you doing, right? That's an important thing. So I always think about, okay, what am I doing? Am I inspiring my people based on the things that I'm doing every day, or are they looking at me going, oh, I don't, because they're gonna do. I mean, sometimes they do a little bit of what you say. You hope that they do, especially if you're good at what you do. But the reality is, a lot of people just look at what you're doing and they replicate what you're doing. So the other side of the modeling equation is, okay, if I'm new, if I'm kind of unsure of myself and I don't really know exactly what's up here, like, who can I model in this business? Who can I look to as, I guess we can call it a role model in business, and go, okay, I want to replicate and duplicate what that person is doing. I did that early on. When I was 22, when I first started in the business, I found a guy that was 27, who was close to my age. He was crushing it in the business. I was not. I was getting crushed. And I just literally watched him. And I tried my best to talk the way he talked, and walk the way he walked, and act the way he acted, and do the things the way he did them. And what was interesting, I didn't have this gigantic explosion, but when I began to model somebody else who was more successful than me at what I was attempting to do, all of a sudden things started to work for me. I started to sign up reps. I started to sign up customers. I started to rank advance. And so I think modeling is just a beautiful thing. Okay, what do I want to model? I want to model somebody who's getting it done. Here's the thing. In every deal out there, and I've spoken for hundreds of network marketing companies, in every deal out there, there's doers and there's don'ters, okay? You could be in the greatest deal since sliced bread, if there ever is one, and in that thing, and it's exploding vertically, there's people in that deal that are doing the deal, and there's people that are not doing the deal. Those are what I call don'ters. And you have a choice. In every company, there's a choice that you have to make. I'm going to do what the doers are doing, and I'm going to focus on being surrounded with and modeling and being near successful producers, or I'm going to be around the excuse makers and the people that are coming up with all the reasons why it won't work. And that's a choice. And I learned early on, I'm going to be around that group of people that are figuring out everything, a way to make it happen, versus the people that are like coming up with every excuse why they can't make it to the national conference, why they can't make it to a virtual Super Saturday event, why they can't put somebody on the Thursday night Zoom, or why they can't use the tools, or whatever it is. Okay. So that's a choice that we have to make. And again, that goes back to the beginning thing that I said when we started this. It's like, make a decision. And part of your decision should be like, hey, who do I want to follow here? Who do I want to model? What kind of behavior do I want to model so that I can exhibit that behavior for other people to model that are on my team?
Yeah, no doubt. Well said. Well said. Let's transition into prospecting, Todd, because this is something you've taught forever, multiple decades. As a matter of fact, I think he just wrote a new book, which you should probably kind of let everybody know about. But let's talk about prospecting, from the standpoint of, you know, who do I talk to? What do I say? How do I say it? What tools do I use? So let's start off I mean, if somebody says to you, okay, like, who do I talk to? What do you say?
Well, I mean, those are two legitimate questions for anybody that's new in the business. And I think our natural human tendency, especially when we're unsure of ourselves, when we're lacking confidence around the thing that we're involved in, it's really easy to, I'm not going to go talk to the really successful people that I know because I'm not really sure of this thing. So in other words, we naturally go what I call down the socioeconomic chain, like after our broke friends and family that, sure could use an opportunity. I'm not saying I wouldn't talk to those people, but I think differently. It's like and I teach differently. It's like, hey, if you're going to build this business, you're looking to put together a winning Super Bowl team. Or hey, if you don't know what Super Bowl is, it doesn't matter because I know we got people coming in from Europe and other places here. A winning football team, I guess soccer, football, whatever. A winning team of players that know how to play the game and get the deal done. And so my thought process is who's the most outgoing, who's the most successful, who's the most financially motivated, who's the smartest person that I know, who's the most well-connected person that I know, who are the people that have the largest following on social media. I go after individuals that I feel can get it done based on what they've already done thus far in their lives. So yeah, we can talk to anybody. I was told a long time ago, I was like, hey, how do I know if they're a prospect? And they're like, yeah, go shove a mirror up underneath their nose. And if it fogs up, they're it. I understand that. I get that. But look, if you're going to build a business, I think if you're really going to build a business of doers, you should go after people that have proven in their lives that they do something. Okay. Not that I wouldn't give a bro a chance that needs an opportunity, but like in your thinking, after you leave today's training, I would say you do this. Who are the top 10 most successful people that you know? Who are the top 10 most, I don't know, the coolest people that you know? Who are the most financially motivated? Who are the most connected? Who are the most charismatic? Write that list down. And then it's like, okay, what do I say? That's a legit question. I get that. Every person here has been given some type of framework of a conversation, some type of script through whatever training that you first were exposed to. I can guarantee you something was given to you or you were exposed to something that gives you the words to put into your mouth to be able to say, hey, John, Todd Falcone, how's it going? Look, man, I wanted to give you a call. You're literally one of the most successful people I've ever known in my life. I just launched this new business. I'm super excited about it. I'm all in. I have no idea whether you'd be open to something, but hey, man, if I sent you this 10, 12-minute video, could you take, when could you take 10, 12 minutes and take a look at that and give me some feedback? I'd like to have you take a look at this thing and just get a quick chat. I don't know if you're open or not, but can you do me a favor and take a peek at this thing? I mean, like, who's not going to do a bro a solid and say, yeah, I'll take a look at it. And as David mentioned, let the tool do the work, whether it's the Thursday night Zoom, whether it's the presentations that we have in the back office. And again, I can sit here right now and shift the words around and give you, like, I don't know, like literally an unlimited way of saying something to someone. One of my favorite questions, if you've been on any of my trainings, I know I sound repetitive when I do this, but I don't really care because this works. A very powerful question is, Dave, let me ask you a straight up question. Dude, do you at all keep your options open in terms of making any money outside of what you're currently doing? That's a pretty straightforward, cut to the chase question. When they say, yeah, I'm like, cool. I got a video I want you to take a look at. You want me to text it to you or you want me to email it to you? Which is better for you? So, I mean, that's a basic framework. Again, I could go into a lot of different angles and directions, but you don't need it. I mean, and long term, it would be great for you to be able to hit it at different angles. But if you got some framework of a conversation and you know who you're going after, look, I don't think about this. If we're going to write down a list of people, I got my broke, grumpy, complaining, lazy friends. They're not on my list of people to call. They're just not. I mean, those are people, if I call them, they're the very last people I'm calling. If I got successful people, I'm going to identify who those people are. And here's the thing that big mistake that a lot of networkers make is like, oh, my friend, he drives the Audi RS6 Avant and it's a $130,000-$140,000 car, by the way, lives in the big house and has the boat and has all the stuff and whatever. And we look at their lives and we think they've got it all together. They've got life by the, the cojones. And what do we do? We're like, oh, well, they probably wouldn't be interested in anything like this. They would never do. Why would they do this? They're so successful. And you don't even know because they put on a facade. Sometimes they put on a front and they're at home praying to God at night, please bring me an opportunity. And if they don't believe in God, they're like, bring me an opportunity. I can't do this anymore. I'm too stressed out. I work too hard or whatever it is. Our job is to flip the rock over and ask and put them in front of the information and then let the tool do the telling and selling for you.
Yeah, well said, Todd. And the only thing I would add to that is goes back to the whole concept of treating it like a business. Get organized. Get yourself what I've always called as a network notebook. And the worst mistake you can be, I see this happening all the time, where people, and maybe it's because of their lack of quote unquote influence or relationships, and sometimes that's the case, but they're just kind of sitting there and swirling around and recruiting the same 5 people over and over and over again. And that's not gonna allow you to win, right? So get a network notebook. At the beginning, as you go through the process, you should be constantly adding people to that book. I'll give you a couple exercises that you can do to effectively do that. Number one, you all have a phone, right? You can go into your phone. It's a great exercise. I've done this in all my live training events where I've picked people just randomly out of the crowd. They pick out their phone. We go to it, and if it's an Apple, you can go to the bottom of your contacts. You can see how many people you have there. I've seen everything from 200 to 5,000, honestly. I mean, it's unbelievable how many contacts are in there. And I always ask the question, what percentage of those people have you actually approached? And always, every single time, it's a single digit number. Very rarely has somebody ever said 20, 30, 50% of the people, right? So it's important to do that. And the great exercise that you can do with this is if you literally spend a day and go A to Z through that phone, you're going to come across people where you're going to be like, I don't even remember who this is. Delete them. They're not serving you, right? But there's always a way to reach out to these people to rekindle things. Don't balk at the fact that you haven't spoke to this person since high school or college or whatever. Again, as Todd mentioned, you don't know really where they're at. The whole recruiting up concept is a very, very powerful concept. In other words, we're all at a particular level in our lives. And there's people that look up to us. There's people that are our peers, we're looking eye to eye, and there's the people we look up to. Todd's right. Most people just either talking to their peers, which will tell you anything they want to tell you and you'll deal with it, or there's the people that look up to you. And that's more times than not the people that you're looking for. So think about the people who are more successful, are leaders in their own right within their community, their church, their business, their industry, whatever it may be, and at least network to, but more importantly, network through them. Like you don't have to call somebody up and network to them and say, hey, as Todd mentioned there, do you keep, your income options open? You could go to somebody and say, look, I'm expanding a business. I'm super excited about it. And this is what I'm looking for. Who do you know? Like that's what I've done predominantly, like most of my 30-year career is, and it probably stems from my personal fear initially of worrying about what people will think. So I've always kind of just taking the referral approach. But the truth is, nobody will give you a referral on anything or anybody unless they understand what you're really promoting. So it really kind of puts those people in a position to kind of evaluate, if that makes sense. And then lastly,
hey, Dave,
yeah.
I want to just add something here real quick, because here's the thing. I know this is a fact. Most people are afraid of rejection. Okay. Nobody likes being rejected. Nobody likes being cast off or put aside. And, this whole mindset, look, 35 years of doing network marketing, I know what stops people. You just mentioned it, which is why I wanted to come in here. Like, oh, I'm worried about what somebody's going to think. I'm worried about how they're going to respond to me. That's a concern that a lot of people have. How am I going to be judged or perceived because I'm bringing this business venture, this thing to somebody? And so a lot of times they halt. And in the middle of that halt, what they do, interestingly enough, is they tend to go, well, gee, I'm not going to, if it's, again, going back to this, oh, my broke buddy, who cares if he blows me off? But the funny thing is, you get more skepticism and you get more rejection from people below you socioeconomically than you do from successful people. Successful people don't give you crap. Successful people don't go, oh, I don't know, is this one of those thingamajiggers? They don't pull any of that. They're either interested or they're not. And until you have consistently focused on recruiting up the socioeconomic chain, going after people that are doers, producers in their lives, you have no idea what you're missing. You have no idea what the response is. You're not going to get the kind of rejection that you get when you do what most people do in network marketing. So David was right. Like the whole idea of like, hey, you know, I mean, early on, as a 22-year-old kid starting in the business, I'll be 57 this week. I was so concerned about, wow, everybody's older than me. If they're older than me, they must know more than me. Oh, you know, why would they ever listen to me? So I did focus early on my bros, and none of my bros did it except for like, oh, you know, why don't you come paint houses with us? Or dude, are you rich yet? Or some of the other stupid things that they said. I got more rejection from those people. And I finally went, you know what? I'm done with that. I'm going to go after talent. And when I started going after talent, all of a sudden the responses that I was getting were totally different. It's a game changer.
Yeah, no, it totally is. And the same thing kind of leads, I guess that kind of leads us into the whole concept of social media, you know, because when Todd, when Todd and I got involved in networking, it was about Wednesday night, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, down at the Hilton. Maybe not for Todd, he was on the West Coast, but that was it. And that was the opportunity you had to show it. There wasn't an internet. This was pre-internet, if you can imagine that. You know, it's just crazy the things we did, facts on demands, going down to the Hilton. You know, we did do Super Saturdays. They were always in person because this technology didn't exist. But when it comes to social media, it completely levels the playing field. Now, I do want to throw a couple thoughts out there and a couple caveats. You know, like it can be very jaded out there. It can be very jaded, and it's a monkey see, monkey do bit kind of operation, right? So when you're out there on social media, realize that it's more important to be interested than interesting. And what I mean by that is, like, don't feel like you have to keep up with the Joneses. That's one of the biggest mistakes that, I mean, people around the world, certainly here in America, do, is, you know, they feel that, like as Todd mentioned, my next door neighbor has this, so I need that too. You don't. This is your life, and you can leave it, you know, live it on your terms. So when you're going out there and building on social media, there's this whole kind of, people join people, right? They don't join companies, they join people. And so you coming across as a positive person is an important thing. You coming across as somebody who's real and authentic, and in some cases vulnerable if you're trying to tell a story, is a really important thing. Don't be that walking billboard. In other words, I see so many people, and I'm saying there's nothing wrong with it, but if it's 100%, here's my product, here's my product, here's my product, buy my product, here's my sale. If it's that, people are going to glaze over. You know, Meta specifically has made it very difficult for people's brains to see what you're saying if you're in that lane, because every 4 or 5 messages within a feed is a sponsored ad. So we're just being completely overwhelmed, you know, with the orientation of product sales. Okay, so it's important to do that. But here's the thing, like, regardless of how active you are on social media, my advice is get active, but do it in a way that's consistent. For example, if it's just once a week making a post, great, you know, but focus on bringing some value, laying out some inspiration, maybe sharing something in your life that's fantastic, you know, or maybe not so fantastic, because vulnerability will attract the right people. People love realness, okay? But in that process, people are going to like your post, they're going to comment on your post, they may even share it if there's great value. Each and every one of the times that happens, whether it's a like, a comment, or a share, you need to look at the name on that thing, and you need to write it in your network notebook, and you got to think about how you could approach that person, maybe not just head on about your business or head on about your product, but how can you approach that person to open up a dialogue, which will ultimately lead you to asking the magic question, of which is one of several, could be, are you open? Who do you know? I mean, all these type of things that really kind of lead you to prospecting. So I don't want to, listen, I have absolutely zero bandwidth when people say, I don't have anybody to talk to. I mean, I call bullshit on that every time. There's plenty of people. It's a massive world. There's billions of people, and social media has completely leveled the playing field. You want to have that conversation? Go back to the early 1990s when there wasn't an internet, and then it's a whole different discussion, right? Now it's not the case. Would you agree with that, Todd?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So again, this isn't a social media. I mean, look, we're not going to sit here and teach you how to conduct yourself on social media, but I think it's important to at least make the comments that you shouldn't just be that advertorial, honestly, because people will turn you off. And here's the thing: if you ever make the mental shift that Todd and I are speaking of, where how about pick up the phone and call somebody, if you're reaching out to schedule that appointment or call them, they're going to avoid you. Okay, because they are going to make the assumption of why you're calling them. Okay, versus if you just reach out, hey man, how you doing, right? And so there's a lot you can do in this. I mean, again, this is one of those topics that we could talk, quite a bit on. But going back to the point of prospecting, we were talking a lot about prospecting about the business. But here's my advice as it pertains to customers, okay, and building a customer group. First of all, everybody should be thinking about a customer group, and I think your monthly goal, mind you, should be, I don't know, some type of BV amount. Maybe it's 250, maybe it's 500. I like to say, look, you should always conduct yourself and have 1,000 points in business volume from customers alone. Because why? Because not only will it pay you and compensate you properly, but it also puts you in a position to get referrals. And if people really like the products, potentially convert themselves, to affiliates. But whether you're brand new or you're going into a new month like we are here in February, which is a leap year, by the way, there's 29 days versus 28, so it's not as short as it normally is. Get in the process of approaching people and telling them what you're doing, what you're looking for, and will they support you? Like too often, people get caught up in, oh, what's this product and how do I sell it, and I look for these type of people because these are people that benefit. I get that, but think of this concept, okay? Is let's just say that I'll just role play, like use Todd for a moment, but let's just say that, I'm looking to expand my business and I've got a list of 10, 15, 20 people that I'm going to call this week about this. And I'm interested in being kind of customer focused, right? And product focused. I'm going to call Todd up and I'm going to say, Todd, we're going to have a little bit of small talk. But I'm going to say, Todd, let me tell you the core reason I'm calling you. I'm expanding my online business. I'm representing an incredible array of products, everything from this to that, to this to that. And I'm looking for new customers. And I thought of you because, would you be open to becoming a new customer of mine? That's it. Like, go for no, right? Go for no. But here's what's going to happen. Almost 100% of the time when you ask that question, they're going to say, well, maybe what type of products? Will put you in a position to maybe highlight a couple particular brands or particular products, but it puts you in a position to say, well, look, if I send you the link to my website, would you at least do me a favor and take the time to review the types of products that I offer and let me follow up and see what would really captivate you? I'm not looking for a big order. I'm just looking for, you to try one of my products and support my business. You know how many people I've trained? The people who do that, by the way, write business. The people who don't, I don't know, maybe they write business, but not as much as the people who do, if that makes sense. I know you and I have talked about that, Todd, a bit. Is there any angle you would take differently than that?
I don't know if I would take a different angle. I don't know. For some reason, I kind of settled in this idea in my mind. Like when I look at, what kind of business we are and how you can support Procter and Gamble and you can support Amazon and you can support these, monstrous companies. And instead, like, hey, this is a different angle. This is about supporting, the small entrepreneur. And I think there's a lot of people that will get behind the idea of supporting, the independent entrepreneur over giving the money to these giant companies that, quite frankly, don't really give a damn about us. So I don't know. I kind of, depending on who I'm talking to, I have no problem kind of throwing that angle in there.
Yeah. All right. So we're coming on. We got a couple minutes left in this hour training, Todd. Again, we're unplugged. What else do you feel is really important for people to kind of hear from us?
Well, I mean, since we're kind of on the subject of prospecting, I think it's important for people to realize, and I think a lot of people need to be trained this, because a lot of times if we're not trained to do something, we go on assumptions or what we think we ought to do. But if we haven't ever done that thing before, we're just kind of shooting in the dark, right? We're like making a guess. Like I've coached and trained thousands of network marketers over the years. And, I've had conversations with people like, hey, when should I follow up with this guy? Should I give him 48 hours to sit on it? Or what should I do there? Like, do I give him a week? And that's coming from a person that hasn't done this before. And they're just, again, going on assumptions. So you need to know this now. Like pretty much all of your money in this business is going to be made as a result of your follow through. Yeah, sometimes I call Dave and Dave goes to site and he signs up immediately. That's cool. That's what we call a lay down sale. It's like I didn't have to do any work and it was just bang done. That's 1 in 1,000. So what happens to the other 999 of them? Well, the reason those sales take place, those signups take place, is because we get back to people, and we get back to people in a professional and prompt manner. People appreciate individuals that are committed. People follow or do business with individuals that are committed. Like if I sent a video to Dave and I don't get back to Dave for 2 weeks, he's thinking to himself, my gosh, I mean, this must not be that important to this guy because he's not even getting back to me. But on the other hand, if I talk to Dave this morning, Saturday morning at whatever time it is right now, I'm like, bro, go watch this video. And I'm like, hey, when can you watch the video today? And he's like, I can go watch it right now. He's getting a phone call in 15 minutes from me. Right? If it's, I could watch the video this afternoon, he's getting a call back, shortly afterwards. So here's the thing you have to understand about follow through. And this is an important habit for everybody to adopt. You need to be getting back to people in a timely manner. You need to be getting back to them. Ideally, the ideal, most perfect time is the moment, the second that they've gotten done reviewing whatever it is that you put them in front of. So for example, if you're sending them through a funnel in the back office, as soon as they've gotten done watching that video, bang, that's when you're calling them. If it's somebody on the Thursday night Zoom, you're getting back to all the people that you invited to that Zoom the second the Zoom is over. So why do we do that? Because it's fresh in their minds. They just heard it. They're at their peak level of excitement about what it is that they looked at versus 2-3 days past. They got to fight with their spouse. They got, their boss yelled at them at work, 4 other things. They got their house flooded. Now they've forgotten anything that you might have put them in front of. So getting back to people in a timely manner is crucial. And the last thing I'll say, and look, we can call this old school, don't call me old, whatever you do. Look, I'm 57 this week, but I ain't old, okay? But old school to me is foundational, fundamental, works. Everything that you see when it comes to products and services in the world being sold, doesn't matter whether they're talking network marketing or anything else, are aided through what we call social validation. Watch any TV commercial, you look at anything, anywhere, you watch any internet ad, you're seeing social validation. You're seeing somebody saying, oh my gosh, how this product changed my life. Or, hey, like someone like you, someone similar to you, sharing their positive and personal experiences with whatever it is that they're sharing about, causes you to be more connected to that and more likely to purchase. So for example, one of the things that I always do, and I got enough skills where I don't need somebody to help me close business. But if I'm sitting there and I'm talking to a prospect and they're getting in front of the information and I'm getting back to them in a timely manner and saying, hey, what did you like the most about what you saw? Like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you had so many products and I can make money at this and this is a business too. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Hey, dude, hang on for a second. And I go grab Dave, for example. I'm like, Dave, I'm on the phone with my friend John. John's taking a quick look at the business. He loves what he sees. You got a minute? And I bring the 3 of us together. That's called a 3-way call. That's been done for eons, okay? That's one of those things that, in my opinion, is never going to change. Third-party validation, hearing from another independent party about their experience with the business or the product will dramatically improve and increase the number of people that you're signing up into the business. Period. End of story. I can tell you historically, every time I've built an organization, the people that did the most 3-way calls or implemented the most third-party validation in their efforts always signed up the most people and always made the most money. No exception. So just having said that should make all of you guys clue in like, hey, am I utilizing my upline leadership? Am I utilizing an expert in when I'm enrolling people into the business, or am I trying to do this all on my own? And the other part of it is, why would you want to do this all on your own when you got a crew of people that have a vested interest in your success? And I'm like, I had this dude years ago, Ed, I worked with Ed, and I was pretty new to network marketing. And I was like, kind of like, okay, what do I do? He's like, man, go out there into the marketplace, put people in front of the information, the ones that like what they see and hear, bring them to me. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, go put them in front of the information, have them listen to some information. Once they've listened to it, if they're like, hey, if they're hanging on and they're like interested, just put them on the phone with me. Really? And I did. And what was beautiful about that is, I learned a ton because Ed had way more experience. He was an expert. He was a pro. I was new. So I learned how to talk the talk. I learned how to close. I learned what kinds of questions to ask. And at the same time, Ed was helping me close business left and right. So it was a win-win situation, learning and earning at the same time. So I'll just ask you this. You don't need to answer it, but are you utilizing experts and third-party validation to the best of your ability, or could you stand to improve? If you could stand to improve, then improve.
That's tremendous advice, Todd. Excellent advice. So let me just make a couple comments and we're going to close the loop on this thing, guys. So just to review what we kind of went over today. Number one, and I know it's so cliche, but like, plan weekly, implement daily. And what do I mean by that? Just, you have to have a goal for the week. It's now Saturday, right? Before you go to bed on Sunday night, you got to know what you're going to do and how you're going to do it for that following week. So plan weekly, implement daily. We talked about the goal setting. Number two, understand that you have to get your cadence in this business depending upon how much effort, energy, and time you're putting into it. But understand, Todd mentioned it, success loves speed. Okay, it loves speed. So the process of following up with people, as Todd was talking about, when you speak with conviction. Okay, this all comes down to belief and your kind of posture of how you're going out talking to people. Because, if you kind of meander and kind of stumble and bumble your way into talking to people and saying, hey, I'm doing this, and I'm kind of excited about it, I think there's a great opportunity. You don't think, there's a big difference between thinking and knowing. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, when Todd and I were talking about prospecting, learn the art of networking through people. This is network marketing, meaning, it's not about just talking to people directly. What is about that? But what I mean is not just trying to recruit people directly, but finding out who other people know. So get really good at who do you know, right? As far as the belief piece is concerned, look, sometimes for some people that takes a long time, because we're all a product of our environment, how we were brought up, what the circumstances were. But I'll tell you what I tell my kids all the time, and they're grown adults now. I tell them, look, don't let me believe in you. Don't let me believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Okay. And this is a really important thing. So if you parents out there, it's a really strong thing to kind of, do, because your kids are going to see how you act and where your posture is on that. Todd talked about a decision. Yeah, you got a decision to make. Am I going to move my business forward here in the month of February, or am I not? If you are, awesome. Let's do this, but it all happens for you. If you have, a couple team members that you're working with, get with them. Do a business planning session at this time of the month. You should do it every single month. And then the last thing I'll say, and we're going to kind of put a bow on this thing, is, look, sometimes we're all always looking for breakthroughs. And, I had a mentor one time and talked about breakthroughs, and they don't just happen. They always happen on the other side of fear. And I don't want to discount that, because I know a lot it's crazy to me, the abundance of fear-based mentality that is floating around in the world today. It's polarizing. It's just crazy to me. But I'm here to tell you, okay, is that if you have a fear for prospecting, if you do it a handful of times and you're consistent with it, you'll break right through. You'll have the experience. You'll break right through on the other side. So it's kind of like I wrote in my book this one thing about, I think it was in that chapter about this, is that, when I was a kid, my parents took us to this like country club pool or whatever. And there was a high dive, right? And I always remember like the story of like me going up, high dive. I don't even think they have high dives anymore. It's probably a liability thing, but these things were great. You go out there and they walk to the edge, And I would stand there to a point where there was like 20 kids, waiting to come up the ladder and waiting. And then several times I found myself climbing back down because I didn't do it. But here's the thing. There was a day I woke up and says, you know what? I'm going to do this. And it was probably like a locker room talk from my father or something. But I walked there, walked up, went down, didn't even think about it, and jumped off. And you know what? Here I am. Here I am some 50 some odd years later. I lived through it. But you know what? After doing that, I did it repeatedly. I couldn't do it enough. The same thing applies here with the activities you're doing. So with that said, that is going to close out our call for today. I hope you got some value. Remember, knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. So you may not take everything that Todd and I share with you and kind of internalized it, but if there's one thing that you can take and apply it to your business today, tomorrow, this week, this whole month, you're going to put yourself in a much better situation. So with that said, that officially
Recording
ends our
stopped.
call. Have a grateful day. Feel free to unmute and say goodbye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye,
Thanks
everybody.
all. Happy
Have a good
Saturday.
day.
Thanks,
you so
Todd.
much.
Happy
Saturday.
Saturday.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you guys.
Great value,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Take care.
Great value,
See you in
guys. Thank you
Vegas.
so
Looking
much.
forward
Great
to it.
weekend.
Appreciate it,
Have a
guys.
great
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you all.
Got it. Have a great day, everybody.